welcome to Fresh Dialogues. Today we're in San Francisco at Webcor Builders and we'll be talking green building with VP Phil Williams. Now you've used the term future ready in green building. Can you talk about what that concept means?
It was at a late night and I was in a foreign hotel and I was watching the city of Singapore talk about how they were future ready. And I started thinking about that concept. In our construction terminology and in design, we use the term future proof. And their concept was we need to be flexible enough to be able to meet the needs of anybody who wanted to set up business in Singapore. And I said, future proof sounds like a defense against change. Future ready sounds like we welcome change.
It sounds positive.
It's a positive approach. And it's not about adding more. It's not about ultimate flexibility. It's about providing the right amount of infrastructure to afford flexibility.
Tell me more about this natural capital idea.
It appears like there's a lot of acronyms, but there's one that kind of brings it all together, and it's called natural capital accounting, which means it takes some of these individual scientific or numeric evaluations, kilograms of CO2, liters of water, hectares of land, and puts them into economic evaluations so that large corporations or nimble companies like ourselves can physically start to look at, these aren't just environmental metrics, they're financial metrics. And it's not just what a ton of carbon costs, but what it does to our environmental impact. And that's some of the new developing standards that are going to be global standards as opposed to just individual national standards. It actually starts to engage more people in the supply chain. And I don't just mean your external supply chain, it's your internal supply chain. What we like is some of the quotes that we've heard is from CFOs of major corporations that say, now I start to get it. Before it was random acts of greenness. Now I can actually start to measure our environmental impacts.
All right, so they can quantify how much energy they're saving, what their water
footprint
is.
Yeah, but it's not just pounds of carbon or gallons of water. You can turn it into numerics in that, and it always goes back to not just what we see the value of what a ton of carbon is $8 a ton in Europe. It's what's the environmental impact of the land and the water and the CO2 in terms of our climate change. And so now it lets companies not to be judgmental, but now that you've measured it, you can work to reduce it. And you can also let your consumers work to reduce it. Since our product is buildings, we've turned the lens around and said, Mr. Owner, Mr. Architect, Mr. Builder, what can we do to collectively reduce the greenhouse gases and the water? And what can we collectively do to start to get the accurate financial metrics?
And how far has that progressed? Because I love this idea of natural capital. How far has it progressed? Is it just an idea at this point for
Well, it's an idea as time has come, primarily because we remember all that acronyms. We now have the rules. Because if you're going to play the game, you got to know the rules. And accounting relies on consistent rules. So along those lines,
the framework is there.
The framework is there, and there's really a group of maybe 10 to 20 companies that have been asked to participate, and we have too, in different market sectors around the world to help establish what these accounting standards are going to be. And there's been some work in The Economist and other ones on it, and hopefully by this time next year there'll be some recognized standards that anyone in the industry, whether it's construction, whether it's apparel, whether it's any kind of retail goods, will be able to, as a company, assess their overall natural capital accounting impact as opposed to just their quarterly P&L.
Well, it sounds a brave new future indeed.
It is.
Phil Williams, thank you very much for joining me on Fresh Dialogues.
Thank you.